right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Today we have a special episode for you today. Today we are going to be interviewing Irvin Ely. I hope I said your name right.
You got it right.
All right, cool, cool. So Irvin is an owner of EV Elite Vehicles down in St. Petersburg, Florida. He's also a YouTuber under the same name, and he's very passionate about EVs. And he also has a comedian channel, from what I saw. That I did see a few clips of your Future Millionaires series, so it was definitely entertaining to watch. So I just want to say thank you for joining the All Juiced Up podcast.
Well, glad to be here. Hopefully, we can go over a few things that may be interested to some of your watchers out here and yourself. So, you just tell me where you want to go.
Yeah. So what we're just gonna get right into it. Some of the questions I have for you, and like I said, we can just go off of it. And I mean, this is all about EVs. So first question I have for you is, how did you become interested in electric vehicles, and what motivated you to kind of be like the EV enthusiast that you are?
So I would say it's probably around 2018. Me and my wife, she owned a Kia Sorento, and we also me and her owned the dealership together too. So we're actually over our dealerships in St. Petersburg. We actually moved over to probably about 30 miles away. So we were doing a lot of driving. So we were leaving home. She might drop me off at the dealership, and then she may actually go to the other side of Tampa for work. So she may drive like 100 miles literally each way sometimes. So bottom line, even before gas prices went up again, this is like 2017, 2018, she had a four-cylinder Kia Sorento, and she was literally spending about $600 a month in gas. And this is when the Model 3 was first starting to come out. Didn't get the performance version. I think they released the performance version first, but when they came out with the $40,000 version, the rear wheel drive version, we just did the math, and it was actually cheaper to drive the Tesla Model 3 than it was the Sorento, because she had a $500 a month payment on the Kia Sorento, but the gas bill was $650. So that's $1150 together. Now with the Tesla, the Model 3, when we got it right at like 39. Payments on that were like $650. I just rounded up to $700, but electric costs came down to about $150. So you're at $850, $900 a month driving a Tesla Model 3, and when the Kia Sorento was costing us $1,100, $1,150 a month. So that was the game changer there for me. And then just the Model 3, loved it. That was our first Tesla, rear wheel drive. My wife, I think once I brought her in and showed, everything, I think she was good with it. So it just made financial sense to us. And again, I just love the vehicle. I'm a big performance guy when it comes to vehicles. So I love the acceleration from that. So we started off with that Model 3, which was a rear wheel drive with about a 5.2 second 0 to 60, I think. And just, I was hooked from there. So
Nice. So you started alluding to this really, but as an EV enthusiast, just detail out some of the advantages that you've seen with electric vehicles over like the traditional gas cars that's on the road now.
So your big thing, like you say, I alluded to already, is the amount of money you'll save in gas. We literally, and these are real numbers, wife went from spending this was before gas even went up. This was like 2017, 2018, spending about $600 a month in gas, and that dropped down to about $150 a month in electrical costs. So that's the first big thing there. Second big thing, if you're into performance like speed or any of that, the electric cars, as you already know, probably the acceleration is instant. So like say a Dodge Challenger, like I got a Dodge Challenger back out here now. Any of the original ICE cars, internal combustion engine, of course, they have to rev up. So you hit the gas, it's got to rev up, and then it gains power, then you go. With an electric vehicle, it's instant. So when you hit that, you got all that torque available right from the get-go, and it's instant, and you feel it, and you're just gone. My wife actually mentioned just down the street the other day, like she had to like really get on, like someone was coming, she had to really move, and she's like, I would have never tried that in my old Sorento or any other gas car, because with the electric cars, just go. So you got the gas savings, savings on electricity costs, or gas savings. You got the performance of it. To me, they look pretty nice. I'm not gonna say the design is the best in the world. They kind of get that bubble shape, but they still look pretty nice to me. I love the screen. As far as that screen inside, when you're just sitting there, you pull up Netflix, YouTube, um, all of that. So I love all of those features. Anything else? I'm gonna ask my wife because she's sitting beside me too. Anything features that you like about it that maybe I missed or benefits of the EV? Okay. Yeah, but I know she likes the the performance of it. I think she likes the way it looks. So, but those are the main benefits I think of owning an EV, and with there are a lot of things switching over. With gas prices look like they're just steady going up and up and up. That more than did it for me, and I just even without that, I just love the vehicles.
Nice. Yeah. So to allude that with you, to speak to that point, we kind of did the same thing. I got my wife into a Model 3 Performance, and she loved it.
Oh,
And
you went
yeah,
performance out the gate. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Well, so what happened was we had one car. My wife was working from home,
Mhm.
and we had just sold our lease. We had bought our lease out, and then we sold it, and made a little something on it. So it was like, all right. And then she was going back into the school system, and it was questions like, well, what are we going to drive next? And for during the pandemic, I had been looking at EVs and been studying them, and so it came to a point to where we were like, well, is this the time that we're going to actually go with an EV? And yeah, that was it. And during the pandemic, the prices were kind of fluctuating, going back and forth, and the 2020 Model 3 Performance that we got was
Mm.
right in line with everything. Even we bought it used with only, I think, 9,000 miles. So that was our first launch. So that's how we came about that. But then fast forward a year later, after owning that, we also traded in our Traverse, and I got my wife a Model Y. So
Oh, cool, cool.
yeah,
Your Model Y, is it the dual motor or performance?
dual motor. So yeah, it's long range. Yeah,
Cool.
she says she misses the zip and go of the Performance. But honestly, even just driving the Model Y, I think that has more punch in the low range than it does than the Model 3 does.
Not the they're both fast. So a
Yeah.
lot of times, like my wife, I'm actually I don't drive because I'm visually impaired, so she drives. So and like when I used to drive before I had these vision issues, I really
Mhm.
would punch. I would race you on it. Like our open race, we'd be running 100, down the interstate. My wife is not on all of that, but she'll get on it from time to time. But no, it's a so you're the Model Y dual motor, which she had that before she got the performance version. So your dual motor's got a 4.8 second 0 to 60. Now that performance Model 3 you had a 3.1. So it's actually a huge difference between the performance on those. But most of the time you're never gonna hit it. Like, you know what I mean? You probably rare like your wife probably rarely ever floored that Model 3. But yeah, it's a significantly faster car that Model 3 Performance is. Again, that 0 to 60 time is 3.1. It'll outrun the Hellcat to 60. Now the
Yeah.
dual, yeah. So it is significantly faster. The dual motor Y now, and it probably seems like that to you because even the dual motor Y, which we had before, it's fast. It's under 5 seconds. That'll outrun, your most of your challenging charge, not the Hellcats, but your V6 models, even some of the V8 Hemis. If they don't have the Hellcat, you'll still outrun them in that Model Y. So I say that to say it is fast. And even my
Mhm.
performance version now is, I think it's 3.4, 0 to 60. So, but yeah, so it's a significant difference in them. But I
100.
think you did a great choice, man, of putting your wife in that, man. We gotta check out some of the rims. If I have time, I'll maybe show you the rims that my wife's got on hers. So
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, you can always send me pictures. I'll put it up here, and we'll splice it
yeah,
in here for you.
definitely, definitely. If how would I send them to you? Right, you can't put them up right now. You saying, can you?
No,
Oh,
well, I can. Well, yeah. Well, I
yeah,
can
yeah,
just put it in afterwards. It's not a big deal.
yeah. No problem
Um,
at all.
but yeah, so you know, as long as you and your wife have been driving EVs, what do you see that are some of the challenges that's existing for widespread? What's stopping the widespread adoption? Why isn't everybody just rushing out to go get them now?
I think everyone, is going to be switching over. I think the main thing, in my opinion, what I hear in the industry is cost. Your cheapest Tesla. and they probably got the cheapest. I can't think of anything that's cheaper, but your cheapest electric vehicle, which would be your Tesla Model 3, the rear wheel version, is still around $40,000. So that's still out of the range of a lot of people. Your Honda Accord, your Toyota Camry base would be starting at around 28, 29, a little under 30,000. So I think that's the main factor right there. Other than that, a smaller tier of people, I think, are worried about the range, which Tesla, in my opinion, has solved that. And with the Tesla supercharger, with the superchargers that they have, to me, that's not an issue anymore. Now, my wife may argue with that. I think a couple of years ago, we had an issue in Georgia, Alabama, and basically we were like, almost out of range, had to get to this charger, and kind of panicked her out a little bit. So, but that's the only, only issue that I think she would even say. As far as me, there's no issue at all. You just put in, it'll tell you what to stop at your superchargers. So that wasn't an issue. So, but I think for most people, that's the biggest thing, just, getting over that cost. The Model Y is, even the regular one, dual motor one is, still in the, I think it's somewhere around 50 now, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Right.
That's the biggest hurdle there. Once those come down, in my opinion, if you can get a Tesla Model 3, and with some of these tax credits, it's getting real close. But if you can pick up a Tesla Model 3 for the same price you can pick up a Toyota Camry or Honda Accord for, I think it's game over at that point, in my opinion.
Well, so now I'm speaking. This next thing is pretty much speaking specifically to Tesla, but with their manufacturing and their battery costs coming down and whatnot, how do we see their competitors? Is there a path for them to try to bring their costs down to make competitive? Because if Tesla's being able to do this, which I must say, it's a big mistake that all the automakers are just now getting into this, because they left Tesla unchallenged for 10 years. And, now they're starting to reap the benefits. But, do we see any of the other competitors getting down close to that price, bringing it down to under 30 or 35?
So you're super on point. So anybody watching this should really be thankful. Like you're very knowledgeable, and it's funny you mentioned that. So I'll tell you two things that just happened within the last 2 weeks, I believe, and you may be aware of them. First of all, Tesla has a huge advantage. They might not say it as much like in the news and stuff, but Tesla has a huge advantage when it comes to these things. Like you say, they were out there first, and they really are the leaders. So much so that the Ford came out first, and Ford's CEO, his name gets away from me right now, but
Jim Farley.
Ford, Jim Farley. Jim Farley just came out from Ford and said that he doesn't believe that Ford can compete under $40,000 with an electric vehicle until after 2030. So you're almost 7-8 years out before Ford is saying they could compete in anything in that price range. Second, Ford also, the standard was CCS, I believe. That was the charging that. Well, I don't know if you heard, Ford just said, "Hey, we're dropping CCS. We're going to the North American charging standard, which is Tesla's, the same outlet report that Tesla has in their cars now." So Ford came out about a week ago and said, "Hey, we're switching to that. We're sending adapters out to all of our people who have bought EVs, and in 2025, starting in 2025, all our Ford models will come out with that port, the Tesla port, the North American Charging Standard, NACS, already in the car. So those cars will be able to go to Tesla supercharger." And Ford struck a deal with Tesla to allow the Ford vehicles, electric vehicles, to charge at the Tesla superchargers. Now, right on the heels of that, GM came out, I think 2 or 3 days, same thing. GM said, "Hey, we're going to do the same thing." Basically, Tesla, it's a fact. Tesla's got the most robust, the most widespread charging network out there, period. And when you go to a Tesla charger, it works. I've never been to one and I don't think it's not working. Those CCS chargers and all the other charging, EV, all those other ones, you go there a lot of times and they just don't work, or it's like half of them work. So I don't know how they catch up with Tesla. Maybe both, maybe someone can, but I'll say Tesla's got a huge lead. They're innovating like nobody's business, and it seems like they're just just going further and further. We got the Model 3 being upgraded, and the new design of that should be coming out any month now. So
Yeah, and yeah, you're 100% right. Volkswagen was so if for those that don't know or don't understand, just going to reiterate, but Volkswagen after Dieselgate, they were forced to kind of put together the Electrify America network. So that is their baby, that is their thing, and Tesla being number one in supercharging is pretty funny because Volkswagen, with them having to put out Electrify America, they easily could have been the number two charging infrastructure name in the game, but they're just not. It's like they don't pay any attention to it. And just like you alluded to, was the fact that if you use the CCS port and you're road tripping, you have no idea when you get to that charger if it's working or not,
Yeah, yeah.
and that becomes a major problem. So now, you own the EV Elite Vehicles dealership down there. Do you have any other vehicles besides Tesla on the lot?
We do, and we just started because we're small, and we're just starting to. We probably will completely transfer. Me and my wife are talking over in another business partner of mine, but I think we're going to completely transition to probably all electric vehicles, if not all, mostly all. Right now we have one Tesla, and of course we can order anything we want. But we have a 22 Tesla Model Y performance version available for sale on the lot now, and I think we're going to continue to go more towards the EVs, and hence our name, and just totally carry electric vehicles in the future. I think it's going to be what we're going to do.
That is awesome. And, like we were talking about before, the fact that GM and Ford are now going to be shipping after 2025 with the NACS port, North American Charging Standard. Does this look good for you? And especially GM really did it well because they haven't made any of their vehicles yet, except for like the Cadillac Lyriq and, of course, the Chevy Bolt and EV and EUV, but they discontinued that. But now with their new ones that are coming out, they can pretty much shift directly into starting out with NACS. So, before they have some vehicles on the road, but I say this to say, does this look good for you as far as, when you start getting in, are you going to prioritize getting Teslas, Fords, and other GM vehicles over like the Kias, the Hyundais, or any of the others?
That's a good question. It's one we're going to give some thought to. Um, I may carry them because some of the Kias and stuff. I think their price point is going to be good. But as far as if I'm probably going to focus still on Tesla, and maybe Ford, like the Mach E, and GM, because in my opinion, again, that charging network is huge. So let's say some of the other ones don't come over to that, and they stick with CCS. I may avoid some of those and stick mainly with the Tesla. Like I said, that question that we're gonna have to do some brainstorming on it and see, but definitely want to continue to carry the Tesla with. And I love the fact they can charge in up to 250 kilowatts. A lot of the other cars can't do that. When you do pull into one of those superchargers, you want to be able to charge up fast. So yeah, I definitely more Teslas in the future coming. Hopefully, probably definitely also some of the Ford Mach-E's. The Lightning I've heard has had some issues, so I may stay away from that for a while. I think they have to recall the batteries or something, but maybe the Mach-E and maybe a couple of other ones. We want to have a wide variety of what we're going to have available for people. So definitely probably branching out to Ford and GM, and then maybe some of the other ones. So.
Nice. So I guess, what is your most favorite EV model right now?
I would have to say, and I've been tempted looking at. I looked at one the other day when my wife had to go to the. I think definitely the Tesla Model S Plaid for me. A little out of my price range right now, but that is. I mean, to me, you can't beat the car. Looks good. My wife, like she says, it looks very good to her. I think she's tempted to take a Model Y down there and trade it in and come back with it, but it looks nice. And then what? I mean, nothing hardly can outrun it. I mean, you got a 0 to 60 of 2.4 seconds. I was watching the Plaid race against a Bugatti. I'm sure you know Bugattis, $3-4 million, what, 12, 13, 1400 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and I expect, so I thought before the race, I said to myself, the Plaid's going to beat it to 60. I said after 60, I expected the Bugatti to get it. You know, the Plaid is topping out now, and I think 160, unless you got a racetrack pack. Eventually, it's supposed to get up to 200. But the Bugatti, you know, it's running 250, 260 top end. So I said once they get, you know, quarter mile or over 100 miles per hour, I expected the Bugatti to start, you know, running off and leaving it. That Plaid stuck with that Bugatti all the way through the quarter mile. I mean, it couldn't. They were in there. The guy was talking that was driving it. He's like, I can't pull off on it. He couldn't pull off. That Plaid stuck right with him. So, yeah, to answer your question, man, Plaid for me. If I had the money when that Roadster 2 come out, that would be it. But yeah, that Plaid to me. And again, I just love. We could be just riding down I-275 here in St. Petersburg, and maybe some Camaro or Challengers out there, and I just tell my wife just get on it for a second and play with them. So play with it. I love that. So answer your question. Model S Plaid right now for me would be mine. Nice. What about yourself? Which one would you? What would you go with today if you had to get one?
If I had the money that I wanted, it'd have to be the Model X long range 60 configuration.
Model X. Not you wouldn't want the Plaid though, huh?
No, I mean they're pretty fast already. I'm just even like with my performance, I don't really get on it that much. Like I can chill a lot. So I mean, it's nice to have it when I need it, but for practicality and whatnot, just to drive it around. I mean, I just like driving these cars. I mean, it's just awesome. So yeah, Model X Plaid. No, not Model X Plaid. Model X long range. Plus, I've got 4 kids, so we're a family of 6. So that really works. That really works for us.
Yeah, I listen. I love. That's probably my second or third favorite car. I love the X with those doors. Some people say they don't like the doors; it's too short. I love them. In fact, that would be probably the second car my wife would come. In fact, I think she likes the Model A. I think that's her favorite. Yeah. And you're right. Even with just the regular Model X, and it's hard to call a base, Model X when you got a 0 to 60 time under 4 seconds. But I believe the standard Model X is 3.8 seconds, 0 to 60. And like you say, with that's plenty fast enough, unless you're just like a crazy like me and just want it all. But with that's plenty fast enough. That outruns. You'd be hard pressed to, you really need almost a supercar or something, really. Super fast to outrun that car. So I agree with you. That's more than fast enough. And that vehicle just looks amazing. My wife, it gave my wife tingles when she got in it, literally. She still talks about that.
These cars are just awesome. And I mean, Model X for me fits really well because we do like to take road trips. And, when we go see family down in South Carolina, there is a giant hole kind of in the middle of South Carolina, If you get to like the right side of was it not 95? Yeah, is it 95? 95, 26 around that area. There's not a lot of charging infrastructure, and it's kind of getting there. So I kind of like the range, and that's why we got the Y for my wife because it's got the most range. So when she goes down there and has to do whatever, I know for sure she's good. I don't have to worry about range anxiety for her, and the car is going to get her there safe and all that. But yeah, so. Some people still have their reservations about these cars. And, a lot of them say the concerns that they have are like range anxiety and battery life mostly. And so if you had to give those people advice or kind of talk them through it, what would you say?
I would say this. Range anxiety is not a thing. Again, me and my wife, we drive a lot. She rarely, unless we're going on a trip, I ain't talking about going out of town, that's different, of course. But other than that, you rarely ever charge outside of the home. Even today, we're doing a lot of running around today. We're all over the place. She's been to Tampa, St. Pete, dropping the daughter. And she today, instead of charging up to 80%, she charged up to 100% because again, we're going to be all over the place today. But we won't even have to stop today. We just charged up to 100%. We rarely ever, like in your hometown, just on your normal days, you're going to charge at home. You're going to go home at night and charge, and you're going to be good. So range anxiety to me it's not an issue. Only thing that I would say, if the only problem I could see for anybody, if you're say somebody like a contractor, you're working where literally you're driving all day. I mean, your work site from 6 a.m. to like 8 p.m. and you're driving all day and you need to go. And when you need that gas, at the middle of the day, you need to just top off in a few minutes and get back in it. That would be the only possible thing I could say where somebody might want to stay away from that. And with the charging rate, you don't think so? No, okay, I'm gonna get to the hold on that for that. And with the charging rate of the Cybertruck, which I think they say may be 300 or 350 kilowatts, it ain't gonna take no time to charge that up. So again, I don't see any issue with or any reason why anybody would have a range anxiety. Now, my wife disagrees a little bit. She says when you're going on a trip, and that is the time, like, well, how often do you go on a trip? You know, maybe a couple times a year. But she says going on a trip is kind of an issue for her. Especially now, I will admit when we had the standard range Model 3 that had a 240, I think, max range, that is not enough, I don't think, because like we were trying to shoot down to Miami or whatever. So even you most times you're topping off at 80%. So out of that 240, you're really going to get 200 miles of range, and then running down the interstate, I-75, I-10, wherever you're running at, you're not going to get that 200 running 80 or 90 if you drive like me and my wife. So that drops down to 160, 170 ish. So I would go dual motor, long range in most cases, but with the long range, I think it's fine. My wife is over here. I think she would like a little more range. The Model X probably would be, because that's all you're approaching 400 with the Model X and the Model S in range. So she probably would like that a little more. So
nice. Yeah, definitely 100% correct about that. I feel the same. And I think that's why Elon, when they were talking about the standard range Model Y, if it didn't have 250 or more, it just didn't meet the standard. So I definitely sympathize with that. Yeah. But then, like you said, with people who are wary of getting an electric vehicle and they cite range anxiety and whatnot, when they get to road trips, how would a lot of people say, yeah, I'm not stopping 3 times a charge, I'm just not going to do that, and that seems like it takes more time. But I'll just interject this really fast. For me, most times, and I've gone to Jacksonville a couple times, from Charlotte, North Carolina to Jacksonville, and I've only had to truly stop twice. But I only stopped 3 times because I want enough range to, when I get to where I'm going, to be able to get around. And I've brought this up with some coworkers who cited the same concerns. I've told them, honestly, your gas stop is probably about the same amount of time that it takes for the car to charge. You get out, you want to run in there, use the bathroom, charge, put gas in your car and keep it going. But I mean, around that is about maybe 15 minutes. And for me, it takes about 20 minutes. So, to those people, when they start saying that, like, oh, you have to charge, how many times do you have to stop and charge to get wherever? 6 times? What would you say to them?
I would say, I agree with you. Again, it's not, especially with the longer range models, you're not stopping all that often. When you do stop, like you say, it's not a horrible amount of time. Yes, it's a little longer than, throwing your gas in there, but, you're probably going to want to get out, stretch your legs anyway, maybe grab a bite to eat. I mean, by the time you do that and come back in and maybe sit a little minutes, like you say, you're ready to go. So for me, and I think for most people, that's not going to be an issue. And then, you're talking about something like, how often do you go on trips? And if you're going on trips every week, maybe that's a different story. But, most people, go travel a few times a year. So, to have a little bit longer time at the charging station, a couple times a year, to me, that's not an issue, especially with all the benefits of the vehicle. They far outweigh that, that charging time to me. And the charging times are only getting quicker. Again, I think Cybertruck's they're saying Cybertruck may be 350 kilowatt, just meaning it'll be able to charge even faster. So,
yeah, especially with the new version, was it version 4?
Yeah, version 4 supercharger starting to come out. Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. So with keeping in Cybertruck, I'm glad you brought that up, because Cybertruck is actually one of my favorite cars right now. Granted, it's not actually out, but still coming out on track for this year. Yeah. But what are some of the things that would attract you to Cybertruck?
So one, we're in the car sale business, so I'll probably want to put at least 1 or 2 on the lot, just to be some of the first to get them and have them, because I think they're going to be a hit. But 2, if I can and my money's right, I'm going to keep 1 for myself. I love it because it's different, for 1. 2, also I like to put wheels on, custom wheels on vehicles. So on that Cybertruck, I'll probably put something like some 28s on there. This is something. Yeah, my wife over there kicking me out, but yeah, that's me. I'll probably put something like that on mine. And then again, so many features that's going to have, like if you're a construction worker or contractor or something, I think it's got Like if you have air tools,
Mm.
nails guns that need the air pressure, I think it's going to have a built-in one of those. Again, you got a range they're talking about at close to 500 miles.
Mm.
You got a 0 to 60 time that'll outrun most supposed sport cars like your Hellcats. They're saying the 0 to 60 is going to be around 3.2 with the tri-motor version of that. I mean, for me, nice screen, no gas, no cost of that. It just checks off just about every box I could think of. So for me, I can't wait. I agree with you that they should start production of those. I think sometime this year. So
Yeah, they've already started showing underbody castings of basically
Mm.
showing off the 9,000 ton
Oh,
press.
gigapress.
Yeah, the giga press that they've been
Mhm.
using. So that's very good news, and bodes well for for something that people think is never going to happen.
Yeah.
But with the trucks, what do you think about the Rivian and the R1S and the R1T?
So, and I need to review those, but I haven't. So, just going off of what I've heard, the main thing, and this keeps coming up again and again on another channel I watched, their main concern in their Rivian was they were going to take it somewhere. They're like, no, the charging network. So that's
Yeah.
their main concern on the Rivian. And then also on the Rivian with a truck, I I would like a little more mileage. So again, like 300 miles of range is something like what the Rivian's got, and I think the Ford Lightning. That's just not enough range, especially with a truck when you start pulling something or you got, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Because that's going to cut. If you got 300 miles of range, and you pull in a trailer, you can cut that in half. So I like a little more range than the Rivian and the Ford offer, and that's why I really like the. I think the Cybertruck with close to 500 miles of range is going to be excellent. Other than that, I don't have any issues with them. I've heard that their user interface is not as good and some little small
Mm.
things. But as far as the Rivian, I haven't heard anything horrible about it at all. Now the Ford Lightning, I've heard several stories about battery issues with that. So, and I think you mentioned one more Rivian. What was the other one you mentioned?
Yeah, the R1T is the truck version of the Rivian, but then you have the
Okay.
R1, which is the SUV version.
Oh, okay. So yeah, definitely that truck version. I think their main thing was I think they need a better charging network, and I would like to see a little more range on the truck version. But again, nice looking vehicles. I don't have any. I don't have any bad thing to say. I have heard that the tunnel, I think it's called the tunnel
Mm.
cover
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the Rivian truck, has a bunch of issues. So
Yeah, 100%. And the current configuration for those right now, and I think they should have started out with the configuration that they're going to put together now. But
mhm.
right now it's a quad motor, I believe,
But
and
yeah,
at about 135 kilowatt hour battery currently, and that's
mhm.
the large pack. But
Yep.
they're coming out with a max pack, which I believe is, I think I did the math on it. It's supposed to be like 195 kilowatt hours,
Oh,
and
okay.
then on top of that, they're supposed to switch, or they're going to start producing the dual motor, which is supposed to take the range and almost put it like at 390, I believe, if
Mhm.
I read that correctly. So they have some stuff coming, and just like you said, 100% the charging network. Everything comes down to the charging network.
Yeah.
And with the news that GM and Ford is going to switch, I'm pretty sure that Rivian should just go ahead and make the switch. I mean, I think
Yeah.
a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people like their stuff. It's
Yep.
just the fact that, and they're priced correctly, and that's one thing I definitely want to put out there. They're priced really well. Like they're right under the Model X. So if they were to switch to NACS, I mean, you're talking about a truck and an SUV that everybody would honestly flock to, and honestly, bring them up from where they currently are profit wise. I think their
Yeah.
sales go through the roof.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, if they can, the main thing again, the charger, you switch over and use Teslas. I think I would consider buying one then. So yeah, I think they're a great vehicle. And like you say, even the Lucid, what was that? The Lucid Air has a new one out that just recently outran the Plaid. So
Yeah, the
yeah,
Lucid Sapphire, I think.
yes,
Frank
that one there.
Sapphire. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Main thing I know we keep repeating, but NACS, if you come on over there, I think that's going to bring a lot more people that will come in and buy those vehicles, and they're already nice. So
Yeah, I think that's the only talk right now. If anybody
Yeah,
brings me any EV, it's like, does it have NACS? No. All right, move on.
yep,
Next.
yep, yeah, yeah.
Go ahead and move on. I don't
Yeah,
want to. I don't even
because
want
it
to see
just,
it.
yeah, it's just so simple. Like when you pull into the Tesla supercharger, there's no card, just like there's no nothing. You just get out, you plug the thing in, and you charge it. Go in there, get your few snacks, come out, unplug, and you're off. So, and it
Getting
works.
gas, getting gas isn't even that easy.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so when you sell your EVs, are you educating your buyers on the types, the levels of charging? Like, should they just do the charger that comes with the car, the mobile connector, or should they get a wall connector or some sort of EVSE, which is like a electric vehicle supply equipment? Your charge point chargers or what have you.
So that to me, that's not even a. I would never tell someone to stick with the 110 option. That's a 2 or 3 day charging thing. That to me, that is not at all. That's just not even in the realm of possibility. So I tell everybody to at a bare minimum get the 240 outlet, and that gets you around somewhere around 28, 30, depending on the version, about 30 miles. It's going on every hour. That's doable. You throw that in at night, you're good to go. We started off with that. We upgraded to the Tesla wall connector. I think that, in my opinion, the Tesla wall connector. That's what we actually install those, and that's what we actually do suggest to people. Again, they're faster, so you're getting almost a little over 40 miles thrown on every hour with that,
Mhm.
and it comes with its own cord. So I mean, you may not see that as a big thing or whatever, but with the 240, you got to take the cord out. You got to take the cord out of the car and then put it into the
Mhm.
240 outlet. And then if you go somewhere, you got to remember to put it back in the car. With the Tesla wall connector, my wife has her cord; it stays in the car. So if she ever goes somewhere, it's in there. If she ever needs it, goes to someone's house, and it's in the car. And then the Tesla wall connector, of course, has its own cord. So I suggest the Tesla wall connector at a bare minimum, though, a 240 outlet. I would never do the 110 or suggest that to anybody.
Nice. I definitely agree. I do have a wall connector as well. That was something that was non-negotiable for my wife.
Yeah.
Definitely wanted to make sure that we were able to charge her up before she goes to work.
Yeah.
Luckily, I work somewhere where we have a charge point charger. So I either during the wintertime I either may just maintain my car during the cold weather, and because they both sit outside with the 110 outlet just to make
Mhm.
sure the battery management system just keeps everything warm. But the bulk of my charging is done at work. So
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, that's great too. I know for a while my wife was doing the same thing, and I think when it first started, before a lot of people started catching on and getting EVs and Teslas at her job, I think they were originally giving her for free charging. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's telling me that correct. So originally free charging. So I was kind of lying. I'm always doing the data points, and so I'm trying to line it up. I'm like, okay, charge there. Don't even worry about
Yeah.
charging at all no more. So
Yeah. And with prices, I don't know what energy prices are at home. Definitely we would want to caution everybody to make sure that they do the due diligence wherever you are to figure out how much you're paying per kilowatt hour. It's usually, I think national average is like 12 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's actually what here in Charlotte, what we get. So, charging my wife's car up, just from um, I believe she uses but maybe 7 to 8 kilowatt hours a day.
mhm.
And with an efficiency of about three and a half miles per kilowatt hour, it costs us about $2 per night to charge. Which when you start looking at it and adding it up, like you said very early in the conversation, that you start saving so much, with as compared to gas, and with the prices of the cars now, you actually kind of break even because of yes, right now we're dealing with higher interest rates and higher costs for the vehicles, but at
Mhm.
least one thing you don't have to worry about is the fuel cost and the uncertainty of what is going to be tomorrow.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I only think fuel costs, I don't see it coming down significantly. I know it's coming down a little bit, in the last couple of months, but overall, I only see that as going up and up, especially as probably some of these other countries like Saudi Arabia, as
Mhm.
they see the writing on the wall. It's pretty much going to be done here in another 10, 20 years. So they may try and get all they can out of these last 10, 20 years. So bottom line, I just don't see gasoline prices coming down to any significant amount. I think they're only going to over the long haul just continue to go up. So.
I agree. And one of the things that I want, and I'm not sure if you noticed this, but this is a take that I tell everybody, and they're kind of baffled when I say it. And I say when I say that when driving an electric vehicle, well, we'll start with a gas car. You pay before you use the miles in that gas, right?
Yep.
In electricity, the way it's set up is postpaid, so you use it, then you pay for it.
Yep.
Which it makes a lot more sense to me. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm getting out of this tank of gas or how far I'm going to go or whatnot. But at least with electricity, I go wherever I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and then pay for that later. And that seems more apt, honestly.
Yep. So, and then even even with the at some point we may get the Tesla the wall what do they call the solar panels they hook to
The power walls.
the power walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then at that point, you can actually start. Like I called, we have Tico here in where I'm at in Florida, and I called Tico, and a lot of states and counties and cities are doing this, where you get a special rate for charging, like at night. So, like you get almost half the normal rate in some places charging overnight. It's such a significant difference that in Texas now, if I'm not mistaken, Tesla is offering like free charging for a year if you get the setup at home and hooked to that new little power thing they got. Because electricity is so cheap when you're charging overnight or whatever. So they're actually paying for the cost of so you don't have any type of gas or electricity cost there at all in Texas. So, but even there, just getting a setup where you can optimize and like charge at night. If you can, that saves even more money. And even just, we don't even do that now. We just charge anytime. And even that, again, saves a significant amount of money. So,
yeah, nice. 100%. Well, talking about power walls, we kind of get into batteries and battery chemistries. So what are your feelings or thoughts towards the current battery chemistry that Tesla's using in like the long range versus the LFP that they're using, or even the blade batteries that they're bringing from China to kind of, help with the demand and whatnot? Like, where do you see that? Where do you see that now, and where do you see it going, kind of in the future?
so I think it was a pretty good a business decision, in my opinion, the LFPs, because a lot of people, even that LFP battery in the Model 3 with the 240, 250, whatever the range is on that, that's decent for most people. It's more than decent for most people that don't travel some crazy amount every day. And then, with that being a cheaper battery, they would get that price down. I think that's great. And then on that, and which I didn't realize until recently, on those LFP batteries, you don't charge 80%. They recommend charging to 100%. So you get a little extra there, as opposed to the other batteries that are in these performance versions and some of the higher ends. You only charge 80% unless you're going somewhere. So I think that was a great decision on their part to have that cheaper battery for people. Yeah, I'm in total agreement with that. And then the new, what is it, 4680 or 4860? I always mix that up.
4680, yeah.
4680s. And I think the new 4680s, when they start coming out, I'm going to be excited to see what the range is going to be on that. Again, I think we have a hint with the Cybertruck saying it's going to have almost 500 miles of range. So, and we're pretty good on our range now with the performance version we had. It has 305. That's pretty. I think that's pretty good. Anything else would just be a bonus in that, but I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm at mine has the traditional I forget what the battery chemistry is, but it's the nickel cadmium or nickel cobalt. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And honestly, I only drive to work and home. Maybe a stop here and there just to pick up food and whatnot. But I've even dropped from the 80% to 70%. And especially with me charging at work. Yeah, I just figured that 80% was still pretty high for me because I don't drive far much. Like 40 miles round trip for me to and from work. So it kind of works out for me. And anything keep my battery longevity high. I'm with
And most people, are in that range of like you are, driving like about 20 miles each way, maybe 40, 50 miles round trip. That's most people in America probably. I'm guessing here, I don't know for sure, but I would say about 70% of America. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't see range as a issue. I think maybe a lot of people were, hearing some of the earlier days stories or from other manufacturers other than Tesla. Some of those, I've seen some of those cars with like max range of 180 or something. Now I agree that's just too low, but with Tesla, I don't see the range thing as a problem at all, especially with what they're producing today.
No, 100%. So that's pretty much what I have. I mean, I know this is putting you on the spot, but hey, you have anything else you want to ask me, or anything that you want to spitball, go back and forth with? Because I mean, I've
Well,
got plenty of, I've got, yeah, you got.
well, I'm glad you brought me on. I really enjoyed it. I love talking about this. It was nice to meet somebody. Like we just kind of happened. We just kind of linked up, and it's super nice to talk to somebody. You're very knowledgeable. I don't meet too many people in like-minded people, especially us, is that know much about this. So I'm just super impressed with you. Glad to be on the channel, and definitely look forward to doing some more of this in the future. Let me think if there's anything else that I've heard lately. Anything? My wife is saying, "What is something I think the cars could improve on?" Only, yeah. She does. My wife does not think, and she drives a lot, so she would know. She doesn't like the seats in the Y. She said they're not as comfortable, so maybe they could work on it. Yeah, maybe they could make the seats a little more comfortable for her, as far as something to improve. But the only thing I can say electric vehicles need to, and with the Plaid, I would like to see that. And this is, again, remember, I'm like kid racer out there, so no one else would be no. But the top end, like our Model Y Performance tops out at 155, which is fine for a little SUV. But like the Model 3 tops out at 160, I love to see that a little higher. And we're going to get that with the Roadster. So I really don't have I like Elon. I don't know a lot of people. He got I don't know, a lot of people I guess don't like him, but I like Leon. I don't know him, of course, but what he's doing and stuff I see. I actually like the guy. He seems pretty cool to me. So I'm thrilled in it. Just can't wait to see some of these newest things coming out. We've got a reservation for the Roadster. Not the Roadster. I'm sorry. We have a reservation for the Cybertruck. I mean, we've been waiting on the Cadillac Lyric. They've set me off. We've had a reservation on that, for a long period of time too. So definitely, when we get the Cybertruck, the Lyric, all of these, we're going to review them. I do review stuff on my YouTube channel, EV Elite Vehicles. So I look forward to that. That's actually, you're laughing, but they actually just incorporate. My wife's talking about because these speed bumps in her. So she's talking about as far as the car being able to recognize speed bump. And if I'm not mistaken, they released one of these latest versions of the update, the software update. Either it had that or they're talking about actually, include that in the future. So with FSD, that the car can actually drive around, potholes and stuff.
Yeah, it's using fleet data, I believe they were talking about, where basically using all the Tesla vehicles as fleet, and if one hits a pothole and it can see it and identify it correctly, it can warn kind of everybody else that's behind them. Same idea with traffic. If you see, let's say, 100 Teslas on the road and 30 of them are going down the same highway and hit traffic, they will take that collective data and send it back to the other ones that's about to get there and go ahead and reroute them. So yes, absolutely. And then like with the vehicles with the air suspension, if it knows that it has like a speed bump or something that's there or an elevated height, it'll take note of that. So next time you get there, it'll automatically do it for you. So 100%. And then for speaking to your wife's concern about the seats, what I understand, the Model 3, which of course, since the Model 3 and Model Y share a lot of parts, so anything that happens to the Model 3 should happen to the Model Y at some point. But I believe they're talking about doing ventilated seats for the Model 3.
Probably in this, especially in this Highland redesign. And that's huge for me because I'm always sweating. Like I'm a heat sweat. So the ventilated seats is something that I I'm really looking forward to. So we'll see if those come out. If not, hopefully we can upgrade to the Model X. Anyways, I'm looking forward to maybe that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward also to seeing this new design Model 3. I think, like you say, it may have ventilated seats in it. Of course, hardware version 4 and several other things. Let me ask you though a few quick questions for you before we have to get out of here. But
Yeah.
do you what as far as autopilot? And not the FSD version, but autopilot. Do you like it? Do you think it's good? And I'm going to tell you what I think of it before. Maybe my wife might jump in here too. But it has, put my wife back, like she was changing lanes one time, and this truck was kind of in a blind spot, wherever, a little bit, didn't see her, and it put her to beep and put her back in the lane. So I think I like the autopilot. I think it's great, and that's. So as far as me, again, I don't drive; she drives. So, but as far as how I see it interacting with her, I actually like it and think it is a very good safety feature on the vehicle. What do you think of it?
Yes, and that's one of the reasons, and honestly, one of the selling points that I had my wife for the Model Y and just driving Tesla in general. The fact that, and I've had a situation where, just like you said, it put me back on the road. And honestly, yes, nobody ever do this. Please don't do this. My kid was sitting in the back seat. I was reaching back there like an idiot because he was crying for his toy, and I picked up his toy, but at that time I was drifting off the highway and the car saw that. So even without engaging autopilot, the car is always watching you for things that it can help you with. And this was one situation where I was drifting off the road and it yanked me back onto the road in between the lines and made sure I was safe. So that's definitely something that I'm a big proponent of. I like the fact that it is always watching, even though it may not seem like it. It intervenes when it's supposed to. There was also another time where I believe somebody was probably coming behind me a little too fast, and the car saw that, and I looked at it, and I've had an accident about 3-4 years ago where it kind of messed up my back, and so because somebody rear-ended me, and so every time somebody kind of slams on brakes, no matter where I'm at in the car, I look behind me, like instantly look behind me. So I was looking behind me, and the car was coming, and I believe the car saw that, and I saw it. And I was just going to move up a little bit. And before I even got my foot to the pedal, the car already moved up. I was like, okay, that's creepy. It's real creepy, but okay, I'll take it.
And I've heard that. I've never experienced that, but I've heard several people say that. So that is a great confirmation coming from you that you've experienced that. Because we haven't experienced that from the back, but my wife has experienced where she wasn't stopping quick enough, and Tesla was like, "Okay, you ain't stopped, I'll stop," and it takes over and stops her quicker. So, but I've heard that from the like you're saying, from the back, it's looking back there, and if it sees something closing a closure rate, more than what it thinks it should be, it'll move you up forward. And also, what it'll do is it'll look forward, and especially when they had the radar, and I think they need to go back to radar, but the radar could detect like 2 or 3 cars up above, and if it detected like a real quick stop, you didn't even see it, you hadn't got there yet, but it could detect 2 or 3 cars above, and it would detect a quick stop happening, and it would slow you down and get you ready to stop you. So just all type of great features there. Let me ask you another question if I could. FSD, full self-driving, come back to you, right? Full self-driving, when do you think that will come out, this year or next year, or when do you think it come out? And then don't let me miss my wife's question here.
The computing behind full self-driving is very, very complicated. And I like Elon. Yes, I do. And I can separate the two, him from the company. But I think he's completely way off as far as, as far as full self-driving coming out this year. It's a long time, because the thing we have to understand is, as humans, we have sensory perception that you almost probably cannot replicate in a vehicle. And you're telling the vehicle how to interpret stuff, whereas the human mind interprets it on the fly. And full self-driving, I'm not sure. The only time that it will be somewhat like that is when we get a standard for all cars or all new cars to be able to communicate with one another spatially where they are. Once we get that, I think full self-driving will be much better, because you cannot expect, just like we're taught to drive. I'm not driving for everybody else. I'm driving for myself. I'm defensive driving. So if I knew what the other person was going to do, I could probably take some risks and whatnot and do it and do that. So once the cars come up with a universal communication system, to be able to talk to all the other cars around them and kind of
Mhm.
where they are, yes, full self-driving will absolutely become a thing. But you cannot expect one manufacturer to solve it for everybody. It's not possible.
Mm. Okay. Well, we will definitely see. Well, listen, man, this has been super enjoyable. We got another engagement here. We got to get out of here. But hey, please, if you ever want to do this again, please let me know. Maybe you could come on my channel at some point. Maybe we'll do something similar. But I just want to thank you, bro, for bringing me on and talking about this. Again, you're super knowledgeable, and would love to do it anytime in the future that you have time or want to.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And real quick, if you want to plug your channel, your business, hey man, go for it.
Sure, I appreciate it. So we're EV Elite Vehicles. We're located, as far as selling cars and renting cars, we're located in North St. Petersburg, Florida. We do install the electric chargers for vehicles, so if you need that. Also, I'm on YouTube. Again, on YouTube, it's EV Elite Vehicles. I also have another YouTube channel where I go over science things and kind of talking about, like you were talking about, AI and algorithms and all this technology that Tesla's using. So we get into a little bit on that on Irvin Ely, Science, Technology, and Finance. So other than that, man, it's been great.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, man.